Welcome to Come Home to Forest Lawn. This is a cemetery podcast. I'm Julie Snyder, Chief Executive Officer of the Forest Lawn Cemetery Group. And today we are joined by Josh Fleissner. He is our Director of Family and Visitor Services for the Cemetery Group. So, Josh, welcome to our podcast.
Thanks for having me.
We picked great weather today. We're here right near our chapel on really some of the most beautiful grounds in all of Buffalo that happens to be a cemetery. Josh, to begin, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you ended up here at Forest Lawn, and tell me a little bit about your role.
So I'm entering my 11th year in this field. I started at Forest Lawn in 2015 as manager at Forest Lawn Cremation Company. After that, I went into mortuary school, studied mortuary science for about a year and a half, at the same time working still in the cemetery industry, just a different location, and then returned to Forest Lawn about a year ago, just over a year ago.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So you have a really long tenure in the death care industry. So tell me a little bit about what the role is that you have here today.
My title is Director of Family Services and Visitor Services, but really it's educating families that come in to our offices, teaching them about what a cemetery has to offer, helping them make their arrangements, whether it's pre-need or at need, and then also, assisting families that just happen to come into the cemetery for any sort of visitor services stuff. Questions, genealogy, directing them around our Forest Lawn location.
Great. Tell me a little bit about your team. Are they all here at Forest Lawn?
Nope, we have two family service representatives at our St. Matt's location, and then
in West Seneca.
Yep.
Okay.
And then two at our Lakeside office
in Hamburg.
And
Great.
then we have about three of us that work out of Forest Lawn.
Great. Well, I know it's a very busy office. I know you work out of the Margaret L. Wentz Center.
Yep.
That is both our archives as well as our visitor center, and where families come to meet with you.
Yep. Families come, tours, visitors, all out of that location.
Great. So we do have a tagline, plan today for tomorrow. And what does that look like for a member of the community that might come in to meet with you or one of your colleagues?
Really, when you're working with a cemetery, there's two types of sales. There's at need, which means that you need our services at the moment, immediately. And
so that means either a death has occurred or
yes.
Death may be imminent and a family may not have space.
Correct.
Okay.
Planning for tomorrow is more of a pre-need, mindset. You're coming into the cemetery, you're starting to navigate this process of what you might want in a cemetery. And whether that is an above ground situation in a mausoleum, an in-ground burial, cremation, or a full body interment, it's really just setting yourself up for plans in the future for your final arrangements. Really, when you look at both sides of it, whether it's at need or pre-need, doing it ahead of time makes it so much easier on the family involved that are left to make those arrangements.
And I will say, having been fairly new to what we call the death care industry, knowing that families sometimes might put it off, might not want to think about their own demise, I do have so much respect for the customers you serve. And at Forest Lawn, it's actually about 70% of all of the families we serve are coming in pre-need. And those are really where you have time. Sometimes it's an individual with a partner. It might be an individual making decisions for their aging parents. But we find, certainly in the 3 years I've been here, what a great process that is. There is no pressure from our team. We don't pay commissions. We're just really there to educate.
Yeah, and to your point, those folks that come to us ahead of time, you mentioned time, that you really need to take time to look at this stuff. A couple, one might prefer to be full body, one might prefer to be cremated. Taking time to evaluate all the different options that we have, seeing what works best for them at the time. Even if a decision is not made, it's just having that idea that, okay,
Right.
we were at a cemetery at one point and we think we know
Yes.
what mom and dad wanted, or what, it's just a starting
Right.
point,
And,
which is best.
and it's fair to say here at Forest Lawn, because it's such an iconic cemetery, that many people will when I tell them where I work, they say, oh, I'll be at Forest Lawn. They sort of know that they want to be here in this place and space. And so what are some of the most common questions that people ask of you and your team when they begin the conversation?
So it always starts off, I didn't know that there was room at Forest Lawn, or can you bury cremains? That's where the education process starts, is helping families understand that we do have availability at Forest Lawn, that not all cremations need to be buried, or not all of them need to be in a mausoleum or a niche. And then it kind of turns into costs. When it comes to costs, there's always a handful of costs that you can expect at a cemetery. First one being, where are you going to go? Right? Are
Your
you going
space.
Your space. Are you going into the ground or into a building? The second cost is the cost of placing you in that space. Okay, those are the service fees for placing someone in the space that they've chosen. And then finally, how are you memorializing yourself? Is it a monument? Is it a marker? Is it your name on a niche? So those are the fees that you kind of expect or need to have in the back of your mind when you're coming to a cemetery. I always say it's best to figure out your space, have that taken care of, and then just have the idea of those other costs for down the road.
Right. And so as we sit here today, the cemetery's been here 176 years. And the analogy that I've sort of learned to think about is we care for all these souls really forever and ever. We not only sell you your interment space, wherever that is, but then we have an obligation to care for this space and for the grounds and for the roads and our beautiful trees, really forever and ever.
Right.
When people buy a car, the average price of a car now is $50,000, and a car might last you, 10 years, maybe 15 years. So people come into a car dealer and they sort of know for a new car, this is what it's going to cost. A used car, maybe half. But your space where your loved one will be forever is going to cost as little as $2,000 or $3,000 for a cremation space. Right. All the way up to, for a single grave in some of our beautiful sections, I know they start $6,000 and they go all the way up to, for single graves, $25,000. Okay. We have families that buy estate lots where they will have multiple graves, and those start at $50,000 to $75,000. We do at Forest Lawn, and we're transparent about it. Our prices are online. We have $1 million lots. And those $1 million lots usually are the space and place for the family to then finance their own personal mausoleum.
Right.
So we have a wide range. So our pricing at other cemeteries, is it comparable or is it less?
It's a little less.
Yes.
Forest Lawn is a top 10 historic cemetery. It's one of the only cemeteries maybe in the country that has natural water running through it.
Yes.
That's a lot to maintain. The grounds are certainly different here than at the other cemeteries, which the hills, the trees. I mean, you could be at one end of the cemetery and be really high up, and another cemetery, part of the cemetery, be really low. So that's a challenge to maintain. I think we have close to 4,000 trees.
Yes, and we're an arboretum, so we're always planting and removing trees.
And so that's a challenge.
I will tell you, I meet individuals all the time that say to me, my mother bought her space at Forest Lawn 10 years ago. She made payments every month, and now she's all ready. And she has a great sense of pride. So it's not just a place or a space for high net worth individuals. We really work hard to accommodate everybody in the city of Buffalo as well as in the region. And I think people, when You explain those other costs. The final thing that we do forever and ever is we maintain an individual's record of death and interment. And so we all have our birth certificate, and a cemetery really, especially when memorialized and registered online, we are all digital records now. Those recordings are really into perpetuity as well. Yep. So maintaining not just the physical grounds, but those digital records are all part of this cost.
Correct.
I think it's very important that we, as people in this death care industry, that we're transparent about pricing. Mm-hmm. And I think people sometimes are afraid to ask. You know, we don't, unlike a car dealer, we don't have prices posted around the cemetery. Right. So when you buy a cemetery plot or lot and you are issued a deed, does that mean you own the land?
No, it does not. It means you're owning the right to be buried or placed, interred, entombed in the space that you have on that deed.
Okay, great. Well, that's helpful. As much as we work directly with families, we also have an incredible partnership with funeral directors in Western New York. Mm-hmm. The Erie Niagara Funeral Directors Association is the local chapter, really, of a statewide, if not national, organization for funeral professionals. What is our relationship with funeral directors when making arrangements?
So the funeral director is always a great resource because they are directing the funeral and helping the family navigate the whole process from start to finish.
Yes.
We are obviously assisting with their final resting place, but a funeral director is navigating all the other moving parts. Yes. That are taking place, placing your loved one in their final resting place.
So the death certificate.
Yep.
Transporting your loved one maybe from a hospital or hospice. Correct. Or even a home. We know with our very busy crematory, the funeral director is responsible for the handling of that decedent through the cremation process.
Yes.
Returning those individuals' cremains either to the family or to us as we prepare for interment.
Correct. Yep.
Thinking about funeral directors, and I say it's a hard job.
Yeah.
I mean, people say, oh my gosh, do you get depressed working at a cemetery? Not really, because we're really doing a service. What are some of the challenges you think funeral directors face?
Just working with families, these families are going through the worst day of their life.
Yes.
So, the families are going to the funeral director. Oftentimes, especially in an at-need scenario, you're not thinking as clearly as maybe you would if you weren't going through that situation. So, the funeral director is there to kind of keep the families going in the direction that they need to at a time when it's hard to let go.
Yes.
So using that funeral director to kind of calm the situation and keep on the path that needs to be taken, and that's laying your loved one to rest.
Yes. Thinking here at Forest Lawn, we have 269 acres. You already made the good point, we're not full. Why don't you talk a little bit about some of the investments that we've made here at Forest Lawn? We call it inventory, which if you're not in the cemetery business, you're sort of like inventory, but it's really the development of options for customers and families. What are some of the newer options that we've invested in as a cemetery group, especially here at Forest Lawn?
Just completed Legacy Mausoleum. In fact, we just did our first entombment in Legacy Mausoleum. That's a collection of single and double niches, which a niche is a spot that a family member can purchase to place cremated remains. And that can be, again, single or double. And then that building also has crypts, which crypts are used for a full body entombment, both single and double. And, there's also other things that you can learn about that, as like a single crypt can be used as a full body for one and a cremation for the other, both going into the same crypt. So it's strictly cremation, strictly full body, and then a combination of both.
Great. And I know that we work with Griever and Ward to help us literally lay out space in some of our sections. So I know we've laid out or in the process of laying out a new section here, a section of grass.
Yep.
And tell me a little bit about that.
They're laying out a section that will be very similar to our section 33 Garden of Tranquility, which the graves are kind of bookended by gardens. So that's a very popular section, very beautiful. That is going to be a new area that we'll soon have to offer families. Yeah.
And then I know we have some what I would call feature or estate lots over by Skajakwita Creek. Tell me about those options.
Yeah, so the feature lots sit right in front of Serenity Falls, which is right behind them. And those situations are really for planning for generations. You're buying a large area that we can tailor that spot to be a combination of cremation and full body, and use it for yourself or your kids or your parents, yourself and your kids or whatever.
Really a family
lot. Yes, correct.
That's great. And I know that people sometimes don't think that way. You know, if there's an immediate death, they're just like, I need one grave.
Right.
And then they come in and they meet with you or one of your team members and really end up at least buying 2 or sometimes 4 spaces together.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah.
I think we're going to take a little walk.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
Let's take a walk. So we're here at Mirror Lake. The weather definitely is cooperating for us. Part of your responsibility is for visitor services. Tell me a little bit about the visitor experience at Forest Lawn.
So where we're at right now in Forest Lawn with Mirror Lake, it's a big visitor area, tour area. The trees are beautiful in the spring with the cherry blossoms, which is a really popular time for visitors to start coming into the cemetery. And I think what is also really nice is that we're surrounded by a ridge, which you can imagine 175 years ago with this being just a hilly forest. And now being a cemetery, it just looks like everything was meant to be.
We do encourage individuals to come and visit us, whether they have loved ones here. People ask about cemetery etiquette. We always say we are still an active cemetery. So if you see a service, if you see a funeral procession, if you hear our beautiful bells tolling, that means that a funeral is coming in. And so we really are respectful of that.
Yeah.
But we do welcome visitors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not dogs.
Not dogs.
Dogs,
Not dogs.
unless they're cremated, we can, sorry. But Forest Lawn is really an iconic place. And Josh, we are so happy to have you in this role with your amazing team at Forest Lawn and St. Matt's and Lakeside. I think we're going to talk about green burial at Lakeside and Forest Hill in Attica at a future podcast, right?
Great, yeah.
So I want to thank you for taking time.
Yeah.
I know it's a busy day. And come home to Forest Lawn. I'm Julie Snyder, CEO, and we've had just a great little bit of time today with Josh Fleissner, our Director of Family and Visitor Services. Thank you for listening.